Hey friends, it's Roger coming at you on another timely Tuesday. This is going up on June 22nd as we are entering summer. This week's lesson is not what we had planned. We had a different kind of piece of content, kind of all thought through and ready to go. But sometimes you just learn lessons that are timely and appropriate and sort of hit you right between the eyes. I've had that experience this week, and so I thought it was appropriate to share it with you today. So if you might be interested in something that you can do, something that you can act upon right now, today, that will help you feel and be lighter, stronger, and move forward faster and feel really good in the process. That's what you're going to get out of today's lesson. So if that sounds good, stick around for a few minutes. Let's go. What occurred to me recently, if you know me at all, if you spent any time with me, you know that one of the things that I really love is growing plants in my garden. Over the last couple of years, I've actually developed a little bit of a reputation for having a green thumb. Specifically, my tomato plants are the envy of the neighborhood. That totally sounds like I'm bragging about this, but like I get a lot of people who sort of stop by my garden and go, "Man, your garden looks great. How do you grow such amazing tomatoes?" Don't get me wrong. Some of it is because like I've got a nice spot with soil that's good for growing tomatoes, and it gets just enough sun, and so the conditions are pretty good. But the truth is that I used to be terrible at growing tomatoes in the exact same spot. That's actually not totally true. Up until a couple years ago, my wife and I were really good at growing tomato plants with lots of leaves and vines, but very little tomatoes. Remember a couple years ago, we were sort of we were doing like our fall cleaning in our yard, and we pulled up this tomato vine that was like 30 feet long. It had run over into the neighbor's yard, and it was this like really long, huge green tomato plant with tons of vines and leaves, but like literally almost no tomatoes. And it didn't really occur to me until recently, like, what is the difference? Where I used to be good at growing kind of an annoyingly large, wild-looking, crazy thing that wasn't of much use, to now something that's quite beautiful and very, very productive and nutritious. And it's the principle of pruning. See, with tomatoes, the thing I learned last year is that with most kinds of tomatoes, for the health and productivity of the plant, one of the things that you have to do, that most people don't do, is you have to prune the tomato plant. You have to cut off a lot of the foliage. Now, not willy-nilly, there's a little bit of strategy to it, but for the health of the plant, cutting off significant portions of the plant is the major key to making the plant healthy, happy, and actually produce the kinds of fruit that you want it to produce. So right now, most of my, it's growing season right now. I got tomato plants that are just like flying out of the garden and getting they're growing rapidly right now. And so most of my time in the garden is spent not encouraging growth, but pruning, getting rid of extraneous foliage and vines. I spend a lot of time cutting, which seems a little counterintuitive, but it's the major key. In just a few weeks, what'll happen is that because of what we've done with the plants, they're going to start producing big, beautiful, delicious tomatoes instead of just a bunch of greenery that runs wild and is a little bit annoying and kind of gross. Pruning. That's why I'm telling you this, okay? So why are we talking about tomatoes here? Well, it's because this principle of pruning is super important to our lives. And I find that right now, as we're entering summer, it's not just an important time to prune my tomato plants or your tomato plants in your garden. It's it's a really helpful time to think about, okay, where can I prune? Where can I remove some extraneous material from my business or from my life? Make sense? Yeah. It's called addition by subtraction. I write about it a fair amount in our books and in our blogs. We talk about it a lot. Addition by subtraction means you add to the overall value, move yourself forward quickly, not by adding things, but by taking things away. I'll give you examples that we have seen. One of my clients that I reference in this blog quite a bit just finished up a record-breaking year, made more money than he's ever made in their production year. Achieved levels of recognition that he had never achieved before. And one of the major keys to doing that is that he gave up a title. Along the way, he had acquired a leadership role that looked cool, like on his resume, and gave him some accolades, but the job itself didn't really do it for him and caused him more stress than anything else. So he gave up, he pruned out, like he literally gave up a leadership title, and his business moved forward. He pruned something out that was extraneous, and it really worked. He started getting better fruit in his business. I have a bunch of clients right now who have been dealing with some people issues in their business. I've got two that I'm thinking of specifically who had people in their organizations that pleasantly enough, these people sort of pruned themselves out. It was like one of these things we almost saw in hindsight. People who sort of pruned themselves from the organization, people were like my clients were like freaking out. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do about hiring? It's really hard to hire people right now, and I need a body in this thing. And as it turns out, in both of the cases that I'm thinking about, the removal of a person who just wasn't right for the position caused both the owner of the business and the individual who pruned themselves out to feel way better, have way more energy. And in all of these cases, everybody was lighter, faster, and moved forward quicker as a result of taking something away. Jim Collins writes about this in both Good to Great and Great by Choice. He talks about the principle of not the to-do list, but the stop-doing list, or the to-don't list. You see this all over the place if you'll open your eyes and be open-minded about the idea that in many cases, the best and fastest way to add results, energy, and goodness is to take away extraneous things. Practice addition by subtraction. So my question to you is this. If I was your coach, I would be asking you right now, where can you do some pruning? Where can you get rid of some activities, maybe some beliefs? Where can you get rid of some extraneous, maybe even expenses, maybe even people? Where can you practice some addition by subtraction? Where can you do a little bit of pruning that will cause you to feel lighter and stronger? I'll tell you, if you do it, whether it's in your physical space, in your yard, in your closet, in your life, in your relationships, when you prune, you add to the health, the vigor, and you start to get way more of the fruit that you actually want instead of just a big mess. So think about that as we're approaching the second half of the year. Where can you do a little addition by subtraction? Where can you do a little bit of pruning? Make that decision. Let me know how it goes. Hey, if you haven't subscribed to this YouTube channel, hit the button below and do that. Share this lesson with your friends. And hey, keep your eyes peeled here, because we've got some great stuff coming out this summer and this fall. Have an awesome week. I will talk to you in 7 days.